Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and for today's video, I'm going to discuss to you the overview or the summary of the chapter 4 in the NetAcad. And previously, I've already made a chapter 4 video summary, so all of the contents that are needed is in that video. And in this video, I'm going to share to you the overview of the chapter 4 in the NetAcad. So without further ado, let's get started. So in the chapter 4 in the NetAcad, which is the network access, the first thing that we're going to discuss here is the physical layer protocols, purpose of the physical layer. So the physical layer is the accepts the complete frame from the data link layer. So it also encodes the encodes it as a series of the signal that are transmitted onto the local media. So the physical layer media is describe the media types and the physical layer standards, and that's all. So that is all about the important key terms in the physical layer protocol purpose of the physical layer. Next is the physical layer protocols and the physical layer characteristics. So first is the functions. Here, the functions, we have the physical components, the encoding, and the signaling, and also we have here the what you call data transfer, which is the bandwidth and the throughput. So the bandwidth is the capacity of a medium to carry data, and the throughput is the measure of the transfer of bits across the media. So here we have also the types of physical media. So in the network media, we have here the characteristic of copper cabling, and it is inexpensive, easy to install, and it is also a low resistance to electric current and distance and signal interference. So also the characteristics of it as the copper media is unshielded twisted pair cable, the shielded uh, twisted pair cable, and we have here also the coaxial cable, and we have the copper media safety, which is the fire and electrical hazards. So in the UTP cabling, we have properties of UTP cabling. So for example, is the UTP cabling is capable of canceling the EMI and the RFI signals with twisted pairs. So the EMI and the RFI signals are kind of interference signals which disrupt the data transmission fluently. So, but the UTP cabling has the characteristic of it, and it will just cancel the effects of the AMI and the RFI signals. So it is also a TIA slash EIA dash 568 standard, the IEEE, the CAT5, the CAT5E, the CAT-C, and the CAT-CE, and the UTP connectors. So usually the UTP connectors are clamped in the both ends of wire of the UTP cable or the UTP connectors. So here we have the types of the UTP cable. The first type of the UTP cable is the rollover, and then the next is the crossover, and lastly is the straight through cable type. So that is all about the UTP cabling, the standards, and the type of the cable. So next is going to discuss about the fiber optic cabling. So the properties of the fiber optic cabling, which it allows of transmits data over a longer distance. So that is the advantage of it, and it also flexible but thin strands of glass. It also transmits with less attenuations, so there will be consistency and fluency in the data transmissions where when it is occurrence. So like the UTP cable, it is immune also to EMI and RFI and the fiber media cable design. So here in the fiber optic cabling, we have the types of fiber media, which is the uh, single mode and the multi-mode, and the fiber optic connectors, which is attached or clamp in the both ends of the cables, and we have also the testing fiber cables, and lastly the fiber and fiber versus copper. So nowadays this fiber optic cable is being used nowadays because it is a durable cable, even though if you use it in the hazardous environment, it is not easily be burned by the fires. Unlike the UTP cabling, it is easily exposed in the hazardous environment. So the fiber optic cabling is the practical use nowadays when it comes to cable. Next is the wireless media. So in the wireless media, properties of wireless media is the data communications using radio or microwave frequencies, and we have also here the types of wireless media, which has the Wi-Fi is the commonly used nowadays because when we are using the internet or in our homes, we have the Wi-Fi. The Bluetooth, nowadays is least being used because it is less reliable when it comes to transferring data, because we have now the applications which has the faster transmitting of data even in terms to peer-to-peer communication and transferring data or applications. And lastly, the WiMAX. And in the wireless LAN, we have the wireless access point and the wireless NIC adapters. So next is the purpose of the data link layer. So the data link layer is the data link sublayers as the LLC communicate with the network layer. So the MAC defines the media access process and also the provide access to media, and it also data link layer standards, which is the IEE, the ITU, the ISO, and the ANSI. So in one topologies, common physical one topologies are point-to-point, hub and spoke, and mesh. So those are the some common one topologies here in nowadays that being used. And here we have also the LAN topologies. So in the LAN topologies, we have the physical LAN topologies, the half duplex the media access control methods. We have also here the contention-based access. So this chapter began with a look at the TCP/IP protocol suite. So this include look at the protocols that make up the TCP/IP and the way in which they relate to the ISO or the OSI model. So a look at the network layer protocols an provide an overview of an IP packets and addressing. So in the way which ARP is used to map IP address to MAC address. So as well as the ICMP provides error reporting and diagnostic information. So examination of protocols at the transport layers provides an overview of both TCP and the UDP. So including their header structure, a close look at the TCP provide insight into port numbers and how connections are defined and how they are terminated. So an introduction to UDP provide a perspective on how it differs from the TCP and connectionless protocol with a lower overhead. So example of common port numbers that interface to upper layer protocols were also examined here. And so the chapter 3, an examination of the network protocol suite began with a look at the four Ethernet encapsulation types supported by the Cisco in terms used to refer to them as on the Cisco routers. So in here in also in the chapter 3 it explains on how physical layer protocols and service supports communications across the data networks, and it builds a simple network using the appropriate media, and it also explains on how the data link layers supports the communications across the data networks. So it also compares the media access control, the techniques, and the logical topologies used in the network. So basically that is all about here in the chapter 4 in the NetAcad. So that's it for today's video. If you like this video and if you learned something, and I hope you learned something in this video, so those are the important terms or key terms that must be remembered here in the chapter 4. And thank you for watching. Bye bye.